Joining us now to talk about it, Dick Morris, our good friend, weighing in from Philadelphia, where he hosts an afternoon talk show on WPHT. Dick, it's so good to have you back here on America's Forum.
Thank you, JD. Good to be here with you.
So the New York Times with this article, is it really the legacy, or are folks on Capitol Hill getting ready to face the voters more concerned about their own political futures than any legacy for President Obama?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely their own political necks. Congressmen and senators are not great historians, and legacy, Harry Truman said, a statesman is a dead politician, and they're not dead yet, so they don't focus on legacy much. But it is a clear situation where Obama has virtually abandoned Congress. He's stopped even thinking about passing a legislative program. In September, he's going to unveil not his legislative agenda, but his executive action agenda in this new dictatorship he's setting up.
Now, those are strong words, Dick. You call it, quote, a new dictatorship. FDR had the New Deal. Jack Kennedy had the new frontier. Barack Obama has the new dictatorship?
Well, he certainly is moving in that direction. And we need to see what this new crop of executive orders comes out in September. Look, I agree that the president has the authority to say we're going to deport this person, but not this person, because this person committed a crime and this one didn't. But he does not have the power to say this person is here illegally and I'm going to let him stay and give him a work permit that permits him to work and guarantees he won't ever be arrested. I don't think he has that power. And I think he's really stretching executive power to its breaking point.
There are cases in our history, and granted, I'm a recovering congressman, but I also try to pay close attention. You take a look back to FDR and what was called his court packing scheme. Many Democratic senators said, whoa, 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 stop right there. Now you've got a situation where you have this president, you say stretching it to the breaking point. He's going to need people like Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia, but Joe Manchin was asked the other day about his relationship with President Obama. Senator Manchin said, and I quote, "It's fairly non-existent. There's not much of a relationship." So, Dick, given that situation, whether it's President Obama's personal style or these assertive, and I'm using a euphemism, assertive, if not downright provocative, prospective executive orders, will guys like Joe Manchin and others in the Senate abandon him?
Well, I think there is some possibility, let me say particularly about Manchin, that if ever the Republicans got within 1 or 2 seats of 60 votes, he might switch parties. He's somebody who's always flirted with that. The important thing to realize is Obama can't do much to help the Democrats keep the Senate, because there are 10 seats that are in play, and 6 of the seats, enough to win a majority for the Republicans, have basically very few minority voters in them. Iowa, Arkansas, Alaska, Montana, South Dakota, and West Virginia. And his ratings in those states are very low because his base isn't there. And Obama's ratings are now all the way down to the absolute minimum of his political base. And I think that it's very limited what he can do in those states to help him, his allies get reelected.
Dick, let's turn from the current president to a gentleman who perhaps has his eyes on running for president. Texas Governor Rick Perry, indicted there in Travis County. His defense team came out yesterday saying Banana Republic politics are behind these charges. Your take on what's happening to Governor Perry in Texas?
I'm puzzled about it, JD. Clearly on the record, it's a banana republic. The idea that a governor cannot veto an appropriation to an agency is ridiculous. And the idea that he can't demand that the agency head resign for moral turpitude is also ridiculous. And to say that he's overusing his power is absurd. But there is something beneath here, and I'm puzzled about why it's not been more front and center. There was an underlying scandal going on in Texas concerning the CPRIT, the Cancer Research and Prevention Institute of Texas, which was set up by Perry with a $3 billion bond issue. And they had a board of Nobel laureates and scientists who were going to advise on the distribution of the funds. And then it turned out that a lot of the money was given out not to good scientific projects, but to political cronies of the governor and of the lieutenant governor, people that had given $500,000 or so. And the board resigned in protest. And the heads of one of these companies was indicted and is now under indictment. At the time, the scuttlebutt, the rumor, was the reason that Lemberg, the DA, and Perry were fighting was that Lemberg was investigating CPRIT. But that hasn't surfaced, and she hasn't articulated that in her case. And just on those facts, I don't think this indictment has a prayer of standing.
You make the distinction here, and it's interesting, Dick, to have you drill down on the whole notion of that cancer research funding program and the possible concerns in terms of public integrity they could have with Governor Perry. But in politics, perceptions oftentimes really take center stage, and that videotape of the Texas County attorney in state of inebriation being booked into the jail is the most graphic image. And also, when you have to go back and try to explain the intricacies of a financing deal, that is very difficult. So the videotape,
and also she hasn't asserted it, JD. She hasn't said that this is because of my investigation. So the court can't consider that. And I think that's, I don't understand it. I'm puzzled by it.
Well, perhaps nothing is going to come of that right now with Rick Perry. We heard from Rick Santorum this morning that, and Mr. Santorum joined us from Israel, that he called Rick Perry with a call of encouragement and solidarity as he, Mr. Santorum, was leaving Kennedy Airport to go to Israel. But should Mr. Perry decide to run for president, sounds to me like you've picked out an issue that could become contentious in possible primaries for the GOP in 2016.
Sure it could. There's another development going on in the GOP presidential stakes that we've largely ignored because of the developments in Ferguson and other stuff. There has been a real flip in the polling among Tea Party voters. Back in April, they were supporting Rand Paul over Ted Cruz by 20-7. Now it's completely flipped, and Cruz is at 15 and Paul is at 7. And it's kind of the first mini primary of the season that the Tea Party people are leaning toward Cruz, which is a key element in getting him into the final.
As you mentioned that, it bears from some amplification if those numbers are fairly recent that you've just seen, because I believe it was in the last 10 days, Rand Paul described himself as, quote, a moderate on immigration. And then, of course, you've had his statement, his calls to demilitarize the police. Has that been a 1-2 punch to his Tea Party base?
The one, maybe. I think the two was a little late, a little bit after the poll. But the immigration issue is of enormous magnitude. It's exactly what you've been saying for 30 years, J.D. You really have an issue here which really cuts into the Democratic Party base because they really are getting it that bringing in illegal immigrants lowers their wage level. For example, the president is considering in September increasing the number of visas for high-tech immigrants who are coming into the U.S. And Cisco Systems just laid off 7,500 workers. And there's a direct correlation between them coming in and Americans being kicked out. The overall statistic that I think labor union members are beginning to absorb is that since the year 2000, the number of native-born Americans who are working has not increased. The number of foreign-born people in the United States, legal, illegal, citizen, not, has increased from about 25 million to almost 40 million.
Dick Morris, you always have the stories behind the stories for us. That's why we appreciate your outstanding analysis. We look forward to visiting with you again real soon.
Thank you, JD.
Dick Morris checking in from Philadelphia as he prepares for his talk show at WPHT Radio. We mentioned Rand Paul, and of course that is the subject of our poll question at Newsmax.com. Is Rand Paul right? Are the Ferguson police over-militarized? You can vote in that poll by going to Newsmax.com/poll. That's Newsmax.com/poll. We hope you'll get there and vote in that Newsmax.com poll. And we welcome your ideas, your comments on what Dick Morris had to say about the presidential sweepstakes. Encouraging news for Ted Cruz fans. Why don't you tweet me your comments at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum. There's also Facebook, and our faces will be back following this.